Hello, everybody. This is Kim Hoang of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I hope everyone is having a blessed day today, but I know what you're thinking already. Wow, I didn't know that this was going to be an episode. I totally missed the news. I totally missed that part of the memo. Well, you didn't miss that part of the memo because there was no memo to give out. So rest assured that, your standings as a listener and a supporter of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is still an excellent standing. But we wanted to go ahead and create a little bit of I wouldn't even say it's an episode, but more of like a short kind of an announcement kind of episode, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to give out a couple of announcements just because lately we have actually come to a couple of things that came to our attention that you, the audience, and you, the fans, and you, the supporters, really needed to know. So, that being said, let's go ahead and drop the news. We got a couple of announcements, like I said. Number one, most recently, I did an interview. Matter of fact, I did 2 interview episodes. One involving one of my good buddies, Robastar, and Brazilian singer / podcast person, or not podcast, but she is a TikTok personality. There you go. Thanks for the correction. And Adena. Originally, it was going to be slated for a July the 12th release on a Friday. However, due to unforeseen circumstances and also popular demand, we have actually pushed the date forward. So now, those 2 episodes are going to be slated for a release on Monday, July the 8th. So we're going to actually push it 4 days forward, and it's going to be good. And on that day, yes, you will get 2 for the price of 1. You will get the Robastar interview episode and the Adena episode all in the same day. It's just going to be released in different time frames. The Robastar interview will actually debut right on midnight on Monday, July the 8th. Midnight being on the Eastern Standard Time. So whatever your local time is during that, whether if it's you're following on Central or Mountain or Pacific or even in Brazilian time, if it falls into the midnight category of Eastern Standard Time, whatever your time is, that's when it's going to drop. So example, if you're living in Brazil and you're waiting for the Robastar interview, if it's getting released at 12 midnight here in the U.S. Eastern Standard Time, in Brazil, it's going to be released at 1 o'clock in the morning. With the Dennis episode, it will drop on that same day, but at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning Eastern Standard Time, which is in Brazil time, 1 hour ahead, 9 a.m. So I'm really excited about that. But that leads to number 2. For the part when I actually said the unforeseen circumstance, well, the unforeseen circumstance for number 2 is that for anybody, any podcaster that uses Spotify for podcasters, you actually got a notice on the website that they are now transitioning to a new type of recording interface called Riverside. And as of July the 9th, Riverside is taking over Spotify for podcasters. It was a little bit of a shock to me because I was just like thinking to myself, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought that, Riverside was going to have a partnership. I didn't think it was going to be a full-on takeover transition. I'm kind of really excited, for Riverside for a lot of reasons, because now they have made it a little bit easier for podcasters and video podcasters to kind of do their thing. And if you do a podcast or a video podcast, you can actually have guests online so that, your guest can be on the same show and whatever, and it will be good. The thing about that was that we usually record a lot, and upload our stuff on Spotify for podcasters. So when we got the news that on July the 9th, it's no longer going to be a thing anymore, we were a little bit concerned because, going back to the first point, we had the interviews with Robistar and intended to be released on July the 12th. So we decided to go ahead and do it on July 8th, which is one day early before July the 9th. So that way, if we had uploaded everything on Spotify for podcasters and we release it on July the 8th, we're still in good standings. I don't know what would have happened if we had still continued to, release it on July the 12th. But I thought in my mind, if we had done that, I was afraid that we would have lost all the information and we would have started over from ground zero. And that's the thing that I was a little bit concerned about. But it's okay because, again, we are going to do the early release date of July the 8th. And at the same time, that gives us enough time to kind of learn a little bit about Riverside and, what for. From what I've been told, it's not that much of a transition. If anybody still uses Spotify for podcasters, it's just little differences here and there, but it's nothing major from what I was told, to the point where oh, well, I have to know how to do this now versus what I did here on Spotify for podcasters. And, it's going to take a little bit of a while to, transition working with Riverside. So if you guys can just do us a favor and please be a little bit patient, we really would appreciate that. As you know, whenever you learn something new, it does take a lot of time. It takes some time to really get adjusted, to learn a little bit about what's important and how to operate it and so forth. So there's definitely going to be a lot that goes on with that. Last but not least, we have to say goodbye to Google Podcasts, because as of June the 29th of this year, Google Podcasts has now parted ways and is no longer in the field of podcasting. So anybody that actually did podcasts and had their podcast shows on Google Podcasts, it's no longer available. And to me, I really felt like that was a sad, sad thing because, we remember working with Google Podcasts. We loved Google Podcasts because not many people actually had an account with Spotify, or not many people actually had an Apple device like iPhones or iPads or even a computer. So they couldn't access Apple Podcasts that way. So the only way for other people to, access our podcast for free was through Google Podcasts. And, if you know Google, they've been changing the game of technology for many years, from, their online interfaces, with their, I guess their Internet Explorers, using Google Chrome, their technology with the Google Fire Stick and everything, and Google computers. And, it's at least in my mind, it was the most popular and, the number one search engine that people use all the time. So for me to hear that Google Podcasts got out of the game, it was really sad. It was really sad. But, if for every dark cloud there is a silver lining, we now have partnered up with YouTube Music. And YouTube Music actually made some kind of a declaration that, when you actually sign up with YouTube Music, and if you have a podcast that was on Google Podcasts, if you use the settings and so forth, everything that you had on Google Podcasts will automatically had populated over to YouTube Music. So, we didn't really lose too much on that. But we also have an additional partnership with Audible, which is basically Amazon's answer to, your access to get every and any podcast show out there in the world. You can listen to any and every podcast show. You can also have access to actual online books where, you click on a book and, you just listen to the story. Kind of like how you had like books on tape. Well, now it's books online and it's through Audible. It's a great service. It's not free. It is not free. Because Amazon does need to make their cheddar, you know what I mean? They do need to make that paper. From what I understand, if you go to Audible and sign up for a free trial membership, you can try it for like 7 days for free. And if you want to keep it and you want to get down of being a member of Audible, then you do pay a monthly membership of $15 a month, which to some people wouldn't be bad if you wanted to use it for both streaming podcasts and books online. You know what I mean? So if you're one or the other or both, it's a win-win. You know what I mean? Me personally, I think that I would be open to the idea, but I just have to see more into the situation, whether if it would be a perfect fit for me. But that's all that I have to say right now, guys. I mean, overall, we're enjoying the process. We're enjoying making content for you guys. We have a new system now where, we just record in a different way, and it seems to be working, and we love it. We love it. I just hope that you guys continue to love and support our podcast show. To those that never really listen to it, I hope that you do like and subscribe to our podcast show on all of our podcasting platforms. And they are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, no longer Google Podcasts. So goodbye, Google Podcasts, but we still have Amazon Music. We have YouTube Music now. That's good. And we have Audible. So, we do have our bases covered in the areas of podcast platforms. So, yeah, for sure. Like and subscribe to this podcast on all of those platforms. And, please tell your friends, whether if it's in face-to-face, in real time, in real life, or, sharing it through social media, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, you know what I mean? That just shows that the word of mouth is a great tool. In the business, we actually call it, brand awareness. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. We're still going to be doing this for you. We love the fact that we keep making content, that we're here in the booth right here in the Asian Sensation Studios, and we're just creating, whether or not if you actually, smile about it, if you laugh about it, or if you learn something, or you take away something positive about it, that's what we do. We're always here to have fun. We're always glad to have you. We want you to feel comfortable, like, our home is your home. And we just want to make sure and let you know that, you are welcome and accepted here. No matter who you are, what kind of lifestyle that you live, or, philosophies that you believe in, or orientation or whatever, you're good. You're good, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be different. And, we celebrate that. So we're going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. Again, this was not an episode. This was more of like a news announcement. We wanted to get the information out. We really appreciate the fact that you still give us a lot of love and support. And, it's just amazing. It's amazing. We're probably going to have another news announcement coming up, but it's going to be through one of our episodes. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be amazing. And once again, we thank you for all the love and support that you give. It's a real blessing. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Guys, please enjoy the day. Please be safe out there. And just remember that if you ever need anything, contact us. Let us know what's going on. And we'll we'll definitely hit you up and ask what's going on, just to make sure that you're actually in a good spot and that you're having a real good day, or if you're not having a good day, that we want to try to make it better. Guys, it's been real. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll see you again real soon. All right? We'll talk to you. Peace.